Well, when actor and director Adam Deacon lost a close friend to COVID earlier this year, that sudden loss triggered a breakdown.
It wasn't the first time that Adam has struggled with his mental health. After he beat the likes of Eddie Redmayne and Tom Hiddleston to the BAFTA Rising Star Award in 2012, he did have a very public breakdown, and in 2015, he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder.
But despite those struggles, Adam has trained to be a mental health support worker and joins us now alongside Alastair Campbell, who campaigns energetically around awareness of mental health issues. So very good morning to you both. Alastair, we've talked about these issues a lot. We've even interviewed together the Health Minister about these issues. Adam, I'm not sure that we've talked about them so often. And I know that you really want to be a voice for those young men who feel that they can't talk easily about this.
100%. It was just for me, when I went through my struggles, I found it hard to connect with anyone that's been through it. You know, I did listen to Alastair Campbell and I listened to a lot of Stephen Fry, but it felt like, if I'm being honest, there was no one from my background, from a council estate, that I could relate to that had them struggles. So I knew that once I was in a place where I was better, I knew I wanted to be a voice. And
lockdown has been incredibly tough for people, obviously because of the health impact, but also the mental health impact. You lost a close friend during the lockdown, and a close friend to COVID. So, I mean, what happened and how did
the whole
COVID
period
affect him and you?
You know, at the start of it, just like everyone else, I didn't know what was going on. It was just surreal. And then lockdown happened, and I lived by myself, and it was difficult. There was no one really there, and, you know, you don't have your friends and your close loved ones around to kind of comfort you and stuff. And then all of a sudden, Sean passed away, and it was really weird because I just wanted to see my friends. I wanted to be around them. I wanted to just talk, and we couldn't do that. And all of a sudden, with the Black Lives Matter rise and the death of George Floyd, I started kind of talking about race, and I started having hours of debates on Instagram and Twitter, and then before I knew it, days were going by where I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping, and before I knew it, I was kind of talking about my own struggles again online, and then, I ended up in hospital.
I'm so sorry. And,
That's okay.
And you did get help. And how are you feeling now? Because I know that a lot of people feel, I have to say, discombobulated now, unsettled. It's been a very, very challenging time. A number of people have lost friends or family, of course, but even those who haven't suffered a bereavement
They've been through it. I think the whole nation, the whole world, in the sense of experienced something that we can all relate with now. And it's so important we talk about these things, especially with young men, you know? The amount of young men that come up to me and they tell me their own struggles and they tell me what they've been through, and we always feel like no one else goes through it. I definitely felt like that. It took me ages to go and get help because I just felt like, as a man, you don't want to come across weak. You want to be seen as a strong man. And it took ages to go and get the help. But I think that anyone watching this, know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is light. You can get better, you know? Even if you have a breakdown, you can lose your mind and you can get it back. You know, you can.
You and Adam, very, very different backgrounds, very different professional backgrounds and lifestyles. But I'd imagine that sentiment there that he just said, he didn't want to show any weakness, he was scared about showing any sort of weakness, is something that you can identify with when you were going through your own struggles, because you held down an incredibly high-powered, pressured job within the world of politics and were struggling in a similar way, weren't you?
Well, it's really interesting. Yesterday, Adam and I did we spent all day together doing this thing for Bipolar UK, which is the only charity that is specifically focused on bipolar. And it's strange because even though different generations, different backgrounds and so forth, so many bits of our different stories were almost identical, including some of the stuff that was going on inside our heads when we were cracking up, including relationships and, you know, frankly, not being kind to the people who are being kind to you, and also our relationship with medication. We both ended up in a place where actually we're comfortable with taking medication because we know that it helps us. But that journey is really hard to get to.
It's a long journey.
But it's fantastic to have somebody like Adam doing this because, as he says, he's from a different sort of background and he's going to reach different sort of people to the sort of people that Stephen Fry and I reach.
Does that surprise you, Adam, when you were spending that day with Alastair? Because you said initially, I think in the past you've said you've listened to Stephen Fry talk about this sort of thing, you've listened to Alastair talk about this sort of thing, but you didn't necessarily relate because you felt their backgrounds were so different to yours. But when you hear Alastair talk about it and you have all those comparisons that are so similar, was that quite a surprise? You kind of think, actually, we do have more in common.
Yeah, we had so much in common. We spoke for like an hour and, you know, when Alastair was talking about medication and stuff, I had a real kind of journey with that. At the start, I didn't want to take it. It made me put on weight. I just felt like it might take away my creativity and I had a real problem with it. And then when I felt about it, it was like, look, if we had any other kind of problem, we go to the NHS, we go to our doctors, and we just trust them. So why should it be different when it comes to the mind? Why not we trust them with that? And then it actually worked. I found medication. It takes a while to find the right one, but I found it, and now it's the best thing I've done. And I just feel calm. I've got myself a girlfriend, and she's amazing. Like, she understands. She's been there for me when I was sectioned, and it just feels like a new start now, and yeah.
Alastair, one thing that is very different, if you're from a different background or you have a different job, is your access to mental health services.
Totally.
And we cannot gloss over that. It's all very well to say to people, it doesn't matter about your background because you can still get help. If you're reliant on an NHS, which is struggling, and you're put on a waiting list, is very different than if you are affluent and can get private healthcare and see a psychiatrist pretty quickly. For
sure. Well, this is the other thing we talked about yesterday, because Adam did get really good treatment on the NHS, but frankly, because he was sectioned. We have a mental illness service, we don't have a mental health service. And frankly, all the stuff yesterday with Boris Johnson and the backlog and the catch-up, we are so far behind where we need to be on services.
How much of that money should go into mental health services?
Well, maybe the question, given as they were projecting it social care, is how much goes into social care, because it won't be very much. I would like to see us develop, we've talked about this before, if we focused on a mental health service, how do we look after our health, then actually we'd end up spending less over time. But what we're doing is we're constantly playing catch-up with crisis. And the reason why Adam and I are so keen to campaign on bipolar, I think with depression and anxiety, there's so much more understanding of it. And then the really serious illnesses, you know, my brother had schizophrenia, and that's understood as well. But bipolar kind of, it drifts between the two, and there's no...
And it's sometimes used as a bit of a joke. It's like when you're just feeling a bit up and down, people actually say you're a bit bipolar, you're acting a bit bipolar. It's used as a kind of throwaway remark, and it's actually an illness that people go through.
And a million people have got it.
And can I say as well, it's a thing where I think people are raising awareness now. People are talking about mental health more, but because of that, that means more people are going to go and get... They're going to want to get help. There's going to be people that go there to get help, and there needs to be the help when they're there. When they finally get the courage, the help needs to be there.
Not just when it's an emergency.
Yeah, not when we can't wait for it all to go wrong before we get the help.
There will be people watching this morning, young men, young girls as well, I'm sure, that are listening to what you're saying and identify with what you're saying. What do you think are the simple changes that they can make that may help their mental health before it becomes a really, really big issue?
Try and find someone to talk to, you know. It's really hard, but there'll be someone in your life, whether that be a teacher, a friend, a parent, someone that you can connect with, whoever that may be, and just talk to them, because I think sharing that problem to start with is going to be the first step. And don't be ashamed of getting help. You know, we all go through struggles. We all do, and lockdown has taught us that. We all face them issues. So don't be scared of getting help. And I just hope the help is there. You know, we can't wait until everything goes wrong before we get the help. And the NHS were amazing. You know, I take my hat off to the NHS because one thing I'd say is that when someone gets sectioned, I got the same help I would as if I paid thousands to go to the Priory. But the way the media looked at it, because I was sectioned, it was all kind of looked down upon. But actually, I got great help. What the nurses and doctors do at the NHS, they're amazing. They do that day in and day out. And
but that help needs to come before the point.
Before the point of sectioning,
that you're there.
Yeah.
I think one of the things which people will be surprised about is the moment of your greatest success when you got the BAFTA and you won it over other bigger names and, you know, people who might have been expected to get it. was actually a trigger for you, wasn't it? Sometimes our moments of greatest success aren't behind the scenes all that they seem.
Yeah, I was quite naive, you know, when I won that BAFTA. It was like, I felt like Hollywood was going to come calling and if I'm being honest, there was so much going on behind the scenes. I won't get into it. I faced a lot. There was a lot going on. And at the same time, I don't think the industry knew what to do with me. So it did affect my mental health. It was like this massive high, thinking I was going to be on massive film sets to not working at all. So it was a weird time. I'm just happy it's all kind of over and I've been given a second chance now.
And you're making a new film?
I am. Some Other Hood. We're in pre-production for that.
It's been a long time coming.
It's taken me 6 years to kind of get this to a place where we can actually get it made. I'm so happy. We're getting a great cast together. Michael Vu, Jazzy, my co-writers, we're just so over the moon that we're finally doing this. And thank you to everyone that's waited for it and shown support over the years. So
Alastair likes to wangle his way into all sorts of work environments. Is he angling for a... I know he's nicked this chair for a few days as well. Has he managed to get himself a part yet?
I would love him to be in the film. I spoke to him about it. I've got a part if he's up for it.
Really?
So, like,
What's
if
the
he's
part?
up for it.
Talk us through it. What's the motivation?
It's just a little cameo in a bank, but...
in a bank?
I don't want to give too much away, but I think it'll be amazing. I'd love to make it happen.
I'm up for it.
We'll make it happen.
And are you back here at some point, Alastair?
Labour Party conference and Tory Party conference. With you, I think.
OK. You're going to be completely neutral and unbiased, politically?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be very tough with both, because I'm not happy with either. How's that?
OK. All right.
That sounds fair. That sounds
fair. Good. Thanks both very much indeed.
Adam, thank you for coming in and sharing that. Undoubtedly, it's going to make a big difference.
Yeah. The first port of call is, as Adam says, someone to talk to. You know, a friend, a member of your family, and, of course, your GP. And if you've been affected by any of those issues, you can find advice and support at itv.com/helplines. Please, if you're struggling, get help. There's help out there.